Hello world. Okay, so I always end up doing like 15 takes before you actually get to see anything because I ramble way more than you guys actually know. So this is like take 3 or 4, I don't count anymore. But it is to be redeemed by My2browneyes. It is a Steve and Loki story to start with. You also get, let's see, you get Tony and Thor, Tony and Pepper, Tony, Thor, Pepper, Jane and Thor, Jane and Pepper, Jane and Sif, Bruce and Wolverine, Bruce, Wolverine, and Hank McCoy, the blue fluff ball, from X-Men, and the Beast. Sorry, I was completely blanking on his code name. Sabretooth, Wolverine's brother, and Darcy. That's an oddball one. Thor and Kelda, which is a original character that My2browneyes created. She's a serving girl on Asgard. Let's see. Flashbacks of Loki and, I'm going to say it wrong, but Agrabota, which was his giantess lover, who is the mother of Fenrir, Jorgamund, I'm going to say that one wrong too, and Hel, his daughter, his only daughter. You also get Thor and Storm, which was a surprise, but not really. Flashes of Charles Xavier and Magneto, pre-Magneto days. Any whining you hear in the background is little brown Chihuahua dog. Hel and Nightcrawler, also known as Kurt Wagner. Jesus fuck. There's just too many to keep track. There really is. And the kink list for this is like 9 miles long. All the kinks that you might have seen or come across or thought about for Ozhawks, soulmate AUs, yeah, they're all here. They're all here. And most of them are Steve and Loki. It is a bondage, S&M, everything story. So if that's not your cup of tea, just read the shit anyways. Trust me. Just skip the sex. Because she takes Marvel Cinematic Universe canon, Marvel comic book canon, and Norse mythology and just smashes it all together into this perfect, epically 1.5 million word long story that's still going. That's amazing. Like the first 10 chapters are just Steve and Loki fucking all over the place. The bed, the bathtub, the shower, the kitchen, the wall, tied to the wall. The kitchen floor, just there's sex everywhere. And basically it's Steve figuring out that he's a dom and he's really good at it. And it really, really works for Loki. And he's really happy about that. Loki originally comes to Steve because he wants to be punished for all the crap he's been doing in the last couple years, since Marvel started. Since he found out he was Jotun. He wants the monster beat out of him, basically. Which he can't actually do, but Steve gives Loki what he needs to accept that part of him, and, well, through the story, he gives them that. It takes a while. He's still not totally okay with it, and she's 220 chapters into it. So, It works. But like I said, the first 10 chapters is just them screwing all over the place and getting to know each other a little bit. There's too much screwing to get to know each other, really. But there's a couple cameos with the Avengers here and there. There's Natasha pops by, Tony stops by, and then the horrible thing of Tony and Thor stop by, and Thor recognizes Loki as a black cat sitting on Steve's bed. And this is just after Clusterfuck C has happened. A being Steve getting pinned under a bunch of rubble and having to call Loki to come help him because he can't get anybody on comms. Clusterfuck B being Tony and Bruce figure out that Steve has a crush on Loki because they look at his sketchbook, which is filled with nothing but drawings of Loki in various states of injuries, because Steve starts drawing when he starts figuring out that he likes to cut Loki, and whip marks, and oops. Lock up your art, dear. And his art of pictures of Loki with various injuries becomes a thing later. It becomes a really big thing, and Steve really wants to smack the crap out of Loki for it. But we'll get to that part later, because that's like 100 chapters away. You also meet Namor, the king of Atlantis, of the mer people. Loki is staying there when he's not with Steve. He's not doing anything down there, just not being at Steve's apartment. No funny business there. Steve's a really jealous bastard, which comes into play at a couple points. One time really bad. But the Tony and Thor thing and the Clusterfuck C is after Bruce and Tony figure out that Steve likes Loki, they try and set them up so that they can talk. Loki has an inspiration of, I will answer 3 questions and I get 1 kiss for every 3 questions I answer. Which isn't so much a clusterfuck, but it kind of is, because it leads to Clusterfuck C, which is Tony and Bruce being stupid and thinking that they can trap Loki and send him back to Asgard. This doesn't work out so well. Especially doesn't work out so well for Steve, because Steve gets chained to the chair that Loki's supposed to be chained to. And Loki decides, well, he kind of goes deep end a little bit, which you've just been captured by 2 of your enemies with your lover across the way from you, thinking that maybe he was in on it. Yeah, you're gonna snap. So he tries to he does tie Steve to a chair with chains and kind of makes it look like he's gonna rape and kill him. And then Steve realizes that I'm still the Dom. I still get to tell him what to do. So he pulls out his cat voice and sends Loki away. Except that he's really, really pissed. Steve is really, really pissed. He doesn't like to be confined. He doesn't like to be chained. This is not something that goes well with his psyche after the ice. So when they both are at the apartment, Steve kinda doesn't check any of his strength. And even though Loki is Asgardian, shit still leaves bruises. So in walk Thor and Tony with Loki as cat form on Steve's bed, and Thor recognizes him. Loki changes forms, hasn't healed from the bruises that Steve gave him like 5 seconds ago. And, oh boy, big brother Thor, who still loves his brother even though to him Loki is a traitor and a murderer and all these other things that actually kinda isn't. Yeah. Don't piss off Thor when it comes to his baby brother. He doesn't care if you're his friend. He will lay you out. And if it isn't for the fact that Loki steps in between Thor and Steve, I think Steve would have had a Thor-sized concussion. And broken bones, again. And yeah. Big mess. But that leads to, okay, we'll let you hang around together. Because obviously you're treating Loki in a way that he doesn't want revenge for everything that's been done to him. And he's kind of settling in. And yeah. Doesn't last very long. So they're trying to do Hydra. Hydra still exists in all this. They're trying to get in undercover. And Tony has the brilliant idea, because the only people who know that Steve and Loki are sleeping together are Tony, Thor, Steve, and Loki. And so Tony tries to put out that, well, we just need to get a evil supervillain who will go in undercover for us. Come here, stupid dog. I have a chihuahua in my lap again. See? He's here. This is the brown dog again. So, in and amongst everything else, they try and put one over on all of the Avengers except for Tony and Thor. Because Bruce doesn't know yet. He hasn't figured it. Well, none of them have figured it out yet except for Tony and Thor. So, they talk Steve into talking Loki into going in undercover to be their bad guy in Hydra, to figure out what it is that they're doing with all these weapons that they're moving into the US. This is clusterfuck. Holy fucking hell. Yeah. Bad. Bad. So when Steve was hurt and pinned, broke the couple legs, that was because of Doom and his Doom bots. And Loki came and got him out. It was okay. Except there's like 8,000 video cameras in Manhattan, surveillance cameras in Manhattan. And he was videotaped saving Steve from the rubble and abusing Doom bots, which Doom then finds out when Loki comes and tries to infiltrate Hydra. Yeah, that's a bad thing. This is clusterfuck. Holy goddamn fuck. And Loki gets captured because Doom dabbles in magic too and has figured out an anti-magic serum that he uses on Loki. And this is how everybody finds out Steve and Loki are screwing. And that they're actually in love and have actually said those words to each other. Bruce figures it out because for his agreeing to go undercover for Hydra, S.H.I.E.L.D. has said they will give Loki immunity for everything he's done, and they will protect Loki from Asgard should they ever come and try and take Loki back. And a couple other little things, but so they're gonna have to go rescue Loki, and nobody's really happy about this. Natasha finds out just before that Steve and Loki are sleeping together. Bruce still doesn't know, Clint doesn't know, Phil doesn't know, Director Fury doesn't know, Agent Hill doesn't know. Just Thor, Tony, and Natasha. And they're seeing a video that Doom sends, trying to get the Avengers to come save Loki out of honor because he saved Captain America. Yeah. Bruce is the one that figures it out from Cap's reaction to the video. And the way he's acting when everybody else is like, fuck it, he's enemy number one, we'll just let Doom take care of it. Yeah, that's not a really good day for Clint. Pretty much the second worst day of his life. First probably being when Loki took over his mind. So, hey, whatever. They get him back. Get him healed up from the nasty that Doom did. And in this rescue, Natasha gets shot. And the bullet shatters. And fucks up everything. My dog is barking again. Loki ends up healing her. Saving her. And it's kind of a good thing. Well, no, it is. I mean, it's obviously a good thing. But it shows the others that Loki isn't the ass that they thought he was. And yeah. Unfortunately, while under the serum that Doom gives him, and when he's saving Natasha, Loki can't keep up the spell he's been using to hide from Heimdall in Asgard. But hey, Thor's next to him, so Odin figures Thor's going to bring him back here shortly. Only he never does. And that becomes clusterfuck like G or something. I should number them in my notes, which clusterfucks these all are. But, it ends up working out kind of for a while. They realize how good of an asset he really could be to S.H.I.E.L.D. So everybody kind of, sorry there was a fly, kind of backs off for a while on it. Let Steve and Loki have their thing after they're found out. And then Namor attacks. Well, actually before that, Thor goes home. And Loki knows that Thor is going to end up telling Odin where he is, what's been going on. Because Thor isn't a duplicitous kind of person. He just isn't. It's not his nature. So Loki and Steve kind of know they're going to get separated, although Loki's pretty sure he's about to end up dead or permanently in Asgardian jail. Either or, he's not sure. Thor he doesn't end up saying it, but he gives enough away for them to realize that he does know where everybody is, and that that Loki's with Steve. And that this is a way to get Loki contained. Well, Odin thinks this is a way to get Loki contained. It ends up blowing up in Odin's face a little bit. Works out, but it's another clusterfuck. Oh my god. So Odin sends Sif, Frendel, and Hugin down. Hogan, I'm not sure how they pronounce it. I can't remember. Down to Earth, Midgard, and to search for Loki. This does not go well for them. They decide to start with the Avengers and ask them all where they are. And by now they all know that Steve and Loki are screwing, in love, happy, keeping each other relaxed and mellow-ish. And they won't give them any information. They won't. Not even Clint. Won't give him any information. And in this time, we've gone through Steve and Loki, Clint and Natasha, Bruce and Wolverine, which is hilarious. Those two getting together, that's hilarious. Thor and Jane, Jane and Pepper, Thor and Tony, Thor, Jane, Pepper, Thor, not Jane and Pepper, Thor, Tony, Pepper. I think that's also to that point for sex scenes of amazing. I can't even think of how to describe it. She writes really good sex scenes. I'm pretty sure my husband's enjoyed a couple of them by proxy. He doesn't know he's enjoyed them by proxy, but he doesn't care. We get them all there. Nobody will talk. Loki has left and gone to Wakanda because he's decided he's gone long enough without a scepter, without a staff. And he doesn't have any money to go buy one from the Dark Elves. Staffelheim. He doesn't have any money to go buy a staff anyways. So he goes to Wakanda to trade with the king. So he ends up spending a week there while the Warriors 3 minus Volstagg is running around trying to find him. He's in Wakanda having lunch with the king and answering 3 questions truthfully every day and fighting for an hour with the king every day so the king can get better. Because the king is T'Challa, who is Black Panther, who it doesn't really have anybody he can get his ass kicked by once in a while so he can get better. So he asks Loki to spar with him. An agreement for a Wakandan-made vibranium staff. And that turns into an interesting scenario because Loki has to answer 3 questions truthfully every day. T'Challa gets to pick. And eventually he figures out who Loki's lover is. And for the first 4 or 5 days, T'Challa assumes it's a woman. And eventually he says words correctly that Loki can't answer the question truthfully without T'Challa knowing that it's a guy. So they finally get to the point where T'Challa's like, I don't care who you're sleeping with. I don't care what sex they are. We're not that kind of a country. And I don't know if they are in canon or not, or if that's just her take on it. I'm appreciative for her take because Loki needs another friend, and T'Challa is it. Next to Steve, T'Challa is probably Loki's only friend on Midgard. Besides Thor, who comes and goes and is his brother, and there's still tensions in certain places and conversations, so he gets one. And then, like I said, Namor attacks. And Loki and T'Challa go to Mumbai to defend there because it's closest to Wakanda. Steve and Natasha are in London. Tony and Rhodey go to Tokyo. And everybody else is in New York, including the X-Men, who don't actually do anything. They just kind of fly down and everybody's already taken care of anything. And so they leave. Don't help with cleanup or anything. Doesn't help their cause much, but it gets talked about later. And then they get the battle done. The Atlanteans go back to the sea. And Odin, in his continued stupidity where Loki is concerned, has Heimdall pull Sif and the Warriors 2, because Volstagg isn't there, with Captain America to Asgard to force Loki's hand. They know that they're together, and Odin is sure that if he has Steve, then Loki will come. And it works. Loki does come. And Loki is pissed. Again. Worse than when Bruce and Tony try to chain him to a chair to send him back to Asgard. Because Odin has hurt Steve. Loki gave Steve a enchantment. Tap your arm 3 times, say my name, and you can send me a message. I'll be able to find you through that. Well, Odin uses that spell to let Loki know something's up. And it hurts Steve a lot. Because it hurts Loki a lot. And he's on a different realm. And, oh, Odin, you're an idiot. You've done nothing but screw with this poor boy. His entire life, since you picked him up, you fucked him up. And you done just fucked up again. You hurt the one person currently in the world that he will do everything and anything for, including burn your realm. And you just hurt that man. You're an idiot! Eventually it works out, but you're an idiot! This is not what you do. But this is what he does. So he hurts Steve, and they get Steve back to, or Loki gets back to Asgard. And basically won't look at Steve because he knows he's going to destroy Asgard because they took the one thing he had left that they hadn't fucked over, and now they fucked it over. So he's going to burn Asgard to the ground, and he doesn't care anymore. He does not care. But he knows if he looks at Steve, Steve will be his moral compass again, and he doesn't want one. Because if he has one, then he can't burn it to the ground. And he's pissed about that. So he won't look at Steve. And then he sees that Thor has his lips sewn shut, which is something Loki dealt with for 9 years because of things. This is one of those mythology things she works into. And that pisses Loki off again, even though it's because Thor wouldn't tell Odin where Loki was. Steve gets Loki talked down enough to not kill every single person on Asgard, especially Odin. But it ends up being a Romeo and Juliet kind of saga on Asgard. It's kind of hilarious. In order to get Loki to calm the fuck down, Steve kisses him in front of everybody. And it works a little bit. And so Steve kisses him again in front of everybody. And they become the epic love story of current gossip. They finally get Odin to get a brain for 30 seconds. They get back to Midgard with everybody intact. And yeah, big giant mess. But it keeps working out. Keeps getting a little bit of hope. So clusterfucks turn into, okay, we're done with that. We've moved past it. We survived. We'll be okay tomorrow. Which of course turns into giant amounts of holy fuck sex. The story is just sex everywhere. Every time you turn around, somebody's screwing. It's a really good thing that they all have birth control and condoms and some of them are boys and boys and girls and girls, because there'd be a lot of Avenger babies all of a sudden. So we're kind of up to like chapter 70 in all of that. Oh, and I forgot, because I wasn't reading my notes. She also includes the Fantastic Four. After the whole Doom debacle, Loki kind of gets his revenge. I will let you read that part, because the revenge she writes is just très magnifique. So go find that part. But Loki, as a thank you for the Avengers for rescuing him, cooks a dinner. And because of what the revenge is that Loki does, Doom being attached to the Fantastic Four, being their old friend and their current nemesis, Director Fury feels the need to talk to Reed. And so Reed Richards brings all the Fantastic Four to this dinner that Loki has made for the Avengers as a thank you. And Johnny Storm is the first one to show up to the dinner. Period. First person, period. Loki is I'm not sure where he finds this kitchen and big dining room area, because it ain't Steve's apartment and it ain't the tower. So I don't know where they're at. But Johnny shows up. Loki says, I'm in here in the kitchen. Johnny goes in the kitchen. Now we all know that Chris Evans, thank you for playing these characters, is the one who plays Captain America, Steve Rogers, and Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. He played both characters. So she continues this, and we find the first doppelganger, twinny kind of thing, because she plays off of this for everybody. I'm waiting for the Robert Downey Jr. one and the Mark Ruffalo versions. I'm waiting for her to slip those in. Anyways, so Johnny goes into the kitchen. Loki turns around and looks at Steve and goes, what the hell did you do to your hair? And then it dawns on Loki that that's not Steve. There's differences. His eyes are different. His lips are different. The mole that Steve has isn't there. And so just as he's about, I think he does say, who are you? Steve walks in. And they find out, okay, this is Johnny Storm of the Fantastic Four. He doesn't know why he's there. Sue and Grimm show up. Ben Grimm, the rock guy. And Reed show up, and then it becomes this huge debate over Loki's revenge on Doom for suppressing his power and making Steve worry, and yeah. And there's a poker party, too. Epic poker party, which leads to another poker party, which leads to 2 more poker parties. Becomes a thing. In the poker party, everybody shows up. Fantastic Four, Phil, his girlfriend Jackie, which is, if you've watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., she's the cellist from Portland, Oregon, which is just on the way for me. I've never heard the Portland Philharmonic. It's probably amazing. I grew up in Vancouver. I never went and saw any of that because I was too young. Now I don't have time or money to go down there. And I don't have time to go to Seattle either. So she comes for the poker party. Tony flies her in so that Phil and her can spend time together. Oh, there's the other relationship I was missing. Phil and Bruce. They didn't actually do anything because of the Hulk, but they dated for a little while. Except Logan figures out how to talk to the Hulk so that Bruce can have sex. Yeah. So, anyways, they're all there. Hill's there, Thor's there, Loki's there, all the Fantastic Four, everybody's there. And Steve realizes why he and Johnny look so much alike. It's because Steve is Johnny and Sue's great uncle. Because his dad had an affair with their great-grandmother. And she got pregnant, and nobody knew. She didn't tell anybody. So Steve's been running around since he woke up, thinking he had no family. When in fact, he had 2 grandnieces, or a grandniece, a grandnephew, couple nieces and nephews, and cousins, and yeah. That does not work out very well for him either. Loki gets to deal with the inevitable psychological fallout from that, which he's totally okay with. It involves a rooftop and Natasha watching, though they didn't know she was watching until later. So, Natasha's a naughty little girl in this. And on top of Steve and Loki's naughty little naughtiness all over the place. So we've gotten to like chapter 75. And I'm 36 minutes into the video. So I think we're going to cut off here. And I will talk about the other 145 chapters in another video. But go read it. Even if the kinks aren't yours, just skip it. Really, you can figure out when they're going to have sex. It's not that hard. And I tell this to a lot of people, just read the story and skip the sex. I have a line of erotica books that I'm writing, and people are like, well, I don't read sex. I'm like, so just skip the sex and read the story. Trust me, it's a good story. I make good characters. And I've actually talked people into buying my book for that. So, read the story. Skip the sex if it's not your kink. But just read it. It's so world building. She's so good at it. It's just... It's 1.5 million words. It will give you plenty of time to just get involved in the story. Find a rainy day and a comfy couch and a cup of whatever it is you drink and curl up with this and read it, because it's good. And I will tell you more about it next time. 37 minutes, 46 seconds. So watch it. Watch this video. Read the story. I will talk to more... I will talk to you all more about it next week. And probably the week after. I think I'm going to do chunks. So this will probably get broken into 3 chunks. Read it. Enjoy it. Skip the sex if the kink isn't yours. There are so many different kinks. I'm sure there's a sex scene somewhere in there that you will enjoy. Because there's just too many variations. And we haven't even gotten to the part where Loki will change his sex for Steve. Although I did gloss it over, I didn't mention it, Loki does go full Jotun for Steve. That becomes another clusterfuck because there's nightmares involved with that. Because Jotuns are cold. Steve was frozen for 70 years. Nightmares. So, I will see you all next week with more 2 brown eyes. My 2 brown eyes to be redeemed. I'm sorry, my dear. I shouldn't do these on Monday night. But the husband keeps stealing me away to spend time with me on Sunday. I don't know what to do with him. I will see you all next week. I will put the link. Subscribe. Find my Tumblr. Show me you care. Bye.